Good evening, everyone. It is great to be back. How y'all doing? We're Heavenly Rain. We're back again for the second year. Thank you for letting us come back again. For not booing us off the stage. Tonight we have another one added to the group. Father Walter Stump from Freedom in Macville. Greg and Ginger Van Thiel, of course, is the other parts, and myself, Father Timothy. It's good to be back as Heavenly Rain. So we're going to sing a couple spiritual songs right off the bat, and then we'll do a couple little stories in between too. So our first song is a traditional bluegrass song called I'll Fly Away. So sing along if you know the words. Someday morning, when this life is over, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls, I'll fly away. And I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away. So last week, my mom came up to visit me. I've been moving into a new rectory up north. We were renting a house for the last year, and we just purchased a house at Florence, right on Kai's Lake. So if you're ever up by Kai's Lake, come on up and visit. But my mother was up to come and visit last week, and she was doing all the boxing. And then Saturday night, after my mass was done at 6 o'clock at Florence, it was my turn to cook. So we went to Dina Mia's, one of the supper clubs up there. And we're sitting there, and we had our dinner at the bar, and because that's what we do up north, we just go to the bar. That's all. You thought you just did that when you come on vacation, but we just do that up there, up north too. But we were up there, and we had just finished our dinner, and there was a group of people sitting right to our right. There was a grandfather, and there was a husband and a wife, and then there was two young boys. And as they were finishing up their meal, the grandfather called the bartender over and he said, "Hey, I got a story for you." He said, "This story's so clean you can tell it in church." And I showed him my collar and I said, "Well, you got my attention." So he proceeded to tell this little story. He goes, there were two buddies, and for lack of a better name, I'll just use Ole and Sven because they were easy names to remember. Ole and Sven were lifelong buddies, and from their earliest of ages, from little boys, they just hung out together all the time. They loved to play catch in the front yard with the baseball. Later they grew up and played Little League together, and they went off to play high school baseball together. They were so connected that Ole was the pitcher and Sven was the catcher. Okay? Eventually they grew up and they had their own families, but they still made an effort to once a year at least to get together, and they went down to the big stadium. They'd go watch the baseball games together, and eventually they reached retirement age. And in the retirement age, they both sat on the front porch in their rocking chairs together, and they would drink their iced tea together, and they would listen to every single baseball game all year long. And this went on for a number of years. Well, one winter, unexpectedly, Sven passed away, and Ole was heartbroken. His long buddy that every year they had gotten together for baseball, and it got to be the next spring, and the baseball game started, and Ole thought, well, what am I going to do now? And Sven's not here, so he decided he was going to set up the same chair on the front porch, and he was still going to pour a glass of iced tea every single day for his buddy, and every night he'd sit there and listen to the baseball games. This went on for the first couple months, and pretty soon it got to be about the midsummer, and one night Ole's sitting there drinking his iced tea with the empty chair sitting next to him for his buddy Sven, when all of a sudden he hears a voice. "Ole, Ole." He goes, "Is that you, God?" He goes, "No, Ole, it's me, your buddy Sven." He goes, "Hey, Ole, I'm up here in heaven, eh?" "Heaven? Oh, what's heaven like?" Sven goes, "Oh, Ole, it's everything we ever dreamed of. But I got news for you. I got good news and I got bad news, eh?" Ole goes, "It's just become part of my language now, I'm sorry." Or no. Ole goes, "Well, what's the bad news? What's the good news first, Sven?" Sven goes, "Ole, there's baseball in heaven." Ole goes, "Oh, jeez, that's great. I'm excited. Someday I'll be up there with you and we'll listen to the baseball games together." And he goes, "Yeah, I got bad news for you too, Ole, though." "Sven, what's the bad news?" Sven goes, "Ole, I saw this weekend's pitching lineups and you're pitching on Sunday." So that kind of leads into our next song, a song called "Who Will Sing For Me?" And oft I sing for my friends when there's cold and I see. When I reach my journey's end, who will sing one song for me? I wonder who will sing for me. When called to close that silent sea, who will sing for me? What a hand for Ginger. So I'll sing till the end, and will try to be the show that some friend will sing one song for me. I wonder sing for me. When I'm called to confess silence, who will sing for and for Greg. And the crowd shall gather round and look at me. Will they turn and walk away, or will they sing one song for me? I will sing for me when I'm called to cross that silent sea. So Oli says, you're pitching on Sunday. Sven said you're pitching on Sunday. You think they got it? I didn't do that. Okay. Who will sing for me? So Greg says I'm supposed to tell you another joke. So Greg's going to play the next lead on the next song called Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, a famous song by, of course, Willie Nelson. And when we were at, Father Walter and I, just a couple weeks ago, we went down to West Virginia. And in West Virginia, we attended a 4-day bluegrass festival. And as part of that group, we were part of a little class that taught us how to play a little bit of bluegrass music better. And our leader for the group, now that Greg's playing banjo on this lead and he's singing the song, he taught us, he said, you know how you get perfect pitch on a banjo? Perfect pitch on a banjo is when you can toss it down the well and not hit a single accordion on the way down. Pretty good. All right.
Something like that. All right, this is a special song that back many moons ago, I was in a band in Darboy with my brother and sister who surprisingly showed up today. Not invited, but they're here. This is a special song for our family because my mom, who's in our audience here tonight also, her and my dad would always dance to this song. So it's very special for us. So it's called Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, and it was made pretty famous by Willie Nelson.
The twilight glow, I see her, blue eyes crying in the rain. When we kissed goodbye and parted, I knew we'd never meet again. Love is like a tiny ember, only memories remain. Through the ages I'll remember blue eyes crying in the rain. Now my hair has turned to silver. All my life I've loved in vain. For I still see her star in heaven. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Someday when we meet up yonder, we'll stroll hand in hand again in the land that knows no party. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Someday when we meet up yonder, we'll stroll hand in hand again in the land that knows no party. Blue eyes crying in the rain. Blue eyes crying in the rain.
Good job, Greg. So, my move up north has led to Heavenly Rain not practicing nearly as much as we used to. But we did get together a few times, and we had a little bit of chance to practice together. And when was it? Last Monday? No, a week ago Monday. 2 Mondays ago, we got together. So we hope you enjoy the music. Actually, Father Walter here, who's joining us tonight, it's the first time he's ever played with Greg and Ginger. But he's been working on a little solo. He's got a little Brad Paisley song he's been working on. He'd like to play it for you tonight, so if you don't mind, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Brad Paisley. Father Walter, he's got a little Brad Paisley song he's going to play for you real quick.
I'm not going to lower that. Brad Paisley. This is really the only song I knew before I went and took our bluegrass lessons a couple weeks ago. So here we go. Nationwide is on your side.
He nails it every time. Do you know how many times I heard that song on the way back to and from this room? This song you may be familiar with. This is what made bluegrass music familiar again in the last probably 10 or 15 years.
I roll all through this town.
I am a man of heart and soul. I've seen joy all my days. I've lived to Kentucky, the place where I was born. The place where he was born. Years I've been in trouble, the pleasure here on earth I find. Oh, in this world, I have no friends to help me now. He has no friends to help him now. Here's a little tune that you're going to be very familiar with, especially if you're into old television, perhaps on MeTV. This show still airs quite regularly on the television.
Come listen to the story about a man named Joe. Poor mountaineer nearly kept his family fed. Then one day he was shooting at some food, and up through the ground came a bubbling groove. Oil addicts, black gold, Texas tea. First thing you know, Jed's a millionaire. And folks said, Jed, move away from there. Said California is the place you ought to be. So they loaded up the truck and they moved to Beverly Hills. There's swimming pools, movie screens. Now it's time to say goodbye to Jed and all his kin. They would like to thank you folks for kindly dropping in. We're all invited back again to this locality to have a heap and helping of that hospitality. Hillbilly guys, set us well. Take your shoes off. Welcome back now here.
Cheer for Greg and Ginger on that one.
There's a garden, what a garden. Oh, happy faces, room there's never any room there for worry or gloom. There's music, there's dancing, there's lots of sweet romancing. When they play the polka, they all get in the swing. Every time they hear that violin, everybody feels so tra-la. They want to throw their cares away. They want to go tra-la-dee-day. They hear the rumble on the floor. It's a big surprise they're waiting for. And all the couples form a ring. From all around you hear them sing. Roll out the barrel. We'll have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel. We got the blues on the run. Sing, boom, terrero, ring out a song of good cheer. For now it's time to roll up the barrel, for the game's all here. roll out the barrel to have a barrel of fun. Roll out the barrel, we got the blues on the run. Sing Bone Torero, ring out a song of good cheer. But now it's time to roll out the barrel, for the gang's all here.
So if everybody enjoyed the polka music this morning, you're invited to make the 2.5-hour journey north. We're having the first ever polka mass up in Florence at the Florence County Fair next weekend. Jerry Velker and the Jolly Gents will be making the trip up north, and the community's very excited about it, and I'm excited about it. And I told the parishioners this morning that if we raffled off dances with the pastor, there would have to be at least 4 figures on the check. His father don't dance. 10 o'clock mass, 11 o'clock till 1 o'clock, Jerry will keep playing. It's at the Florence County Fairgrounds, which are just outside of the city of Florence, but you can find it. Trust me, you won't get lost in Florence. It won't take you long to find it. We have a very traditional Christian hymn, given that we are Heavenly Rain, and we try to sing songs about salvation and about God's grace, and so we invite you to, if you'd like to sing along with us on this, on our basically our closing hymn tonight. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. My heart was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. His grace that taught my heart to fear, and makes my fears believe. How precious thing that grace appeared beyond my first belief. half-price burgers and brats. Come and get them while they last. Whoa, I heard the word encore. We have one more song. Greg's got wiggling fingers he's got to stretch out, so this is a real fast song, a real fun song.
All right, a little tune that Earl Scruggs made popular way back in 1950 called Volume Mountain Breakdown.
We'll see you next year, right?